Yo, it's Derek. Neon White's a fast game, so how about I get to the point? All you gotta know about Neon White is that he plays a professional sinner with amnesia named White, who is part of a group of other sinners that have to kill a lot of demons to get a heavily regulated spot in the comfort of heaven if they kill the most. These competitors are known as Neons. The title should make sense now. And the gameplay is similarly straightforward. You use different weapons, whether it's a high caliber artillery, a katana, or just your fists to kill these little weirdos, and after you kill the demons in a stage you can leave and do that over and over with an occasional boss fight against an old friend. Maybe even an ex-lover if you're into that kind of thing. Only one of them can stay in heaven, and White's got a score to settle. So, starting out the game, White wakes up to see some familiar faces. He gets a new face from some guys called Believers, a complimentary sword, and is off to the races. Before doing anything, I can already get 2 achievements, one for breaking my sword and another for breaking my fists. The first level is also the first level, so I get an achievement for my first ace medal. Each level has 3 main medals you can achieve based on how fast you complete them, but the only one I care about is the best of the 3, the ace medal. A few levels later, I get an achievement for killing an enemy by parrying their bullet back at them, and just a few more, I finish up the first mission of the game. I'll probably call them chapters from now on, just to avoid confusion though. Throughout the first chapter, I get introduced to 3 of the main supporting characters. Yellow is a bro, Violet is annoying gooner bait, and Red is a very pleasant woman who I enjoy the company of. Before the second chapter's gameplay starts, I'm introduced to the game's resident bad guy, Green. He's a menacing dude with a really cool halo and interesting choices of words when speaking of White later on. I'm on a roll that ain't stopping with introductions, so next up we've got a couple angels to meet, the first being Raz, the bartender for Neon, since segregation is a terrible problem in heaven. He gives me the hard stuff, which is literally just water, and I give him a gift in return. Almost every level has a present you can get after clearing them, but I won't be talking about them because I want to try making this video shorter. Yellow, Red, and Violet also have gifts I can give them. I actually have enough to get side quests from them too. Side quests are levels that test you in different ways based on the personality of the person you got it from. Yellows are all about your basic movement and primary firing, Red tests your weapon ability usage, and Violet's just there to be annoying, each representing their character perfectly. I'm also introduced to Gabby and her boss Mikey, who is the coolest. I mean, look at him. Gabby gives me a Heavenly Delight ticket and Mikey gives me my next mission. I redeem the former for an achievement and I leave to take care of the latter. White gets teased for his amnesia even more, he becomes best bros with Yellow, and before I know it, chapter 2 is complete. Before anything else, I get my second side quest from Yellow. It has a lot of vending machines to give me a selection of weapons, and conveniently there's an achievement for getting 10 cards from vending machines. After Violet tries to gaslight me into thinking Yellow isn't a real bro, the second level of this chapter introduces the Stomp card. You might be able to guess what it does. Yeah, stomping to your death is an achievement. Anyways, Violet tells me about a little old place called the Old City. She was almost kind of a cool person, but she also asked me to kill Yellow when we got there, so she's back to being a pest. Unfortunately, I have to do a side quest of hers and... God, I hate this bit. Oh, it's Green. I can finally learn more about... I think this guy might be the villain. Welcome to the first of 3 boss fights. Green's fights are all similar in that he will fly around in certain locations and you have to destroy some crystals to be able to deal damage. The first 2 Green fights also have an achievement for beating him before he reaches the final phase of the fight. I just shoot him at every chance I get, and I win the fight before he reaches the top of the clock tower the level takes place at. Green talks about the Book of Death a little with some homoerotic undertones mixed in, then he pieces out. Chapter 4 giveth and Chapter 4 taketh away. Chapter 5 is off to a great start because I get my first memory with Yellow for giving him, or rather his mask, enough gifts. And I get to see him die again. Awesome! Thanks for the achievement. Depression aside, I need to get the 5th chapter started and finished up. This entire chapter is just White chasing after Red so we can learn more about Green, and by the end, Red proposes the idea of searching for the Book of Life with White. Chapter 6 has slightly more to it, having both my first memories with Red and Violet. Speaking of Violet, the very first level during this chapter introduces tripwires created by her, and yes, will I have to die? Okay, good. There is an achievement for dying to 1. As if Violet isn't annoying enough, she talks about the idea of killing Red after bringing up Yellow. How do people even like this girl, dude? As the chapter ends, Violet reveals that Green was the boss of White, Yellow, Red, and herself in life. Violet is finally useful, but it's odd how Red doesn't seem to want to tell White about that aspect of Green. Oh yeah, I also got half the ace medals and presents in this chapter. Chapter 7's got White meeting Green in the Hanging Gardens. I get a warm welcome from him involving more homoerotic tension before chasing him down for the rest of the chapter. Hold on, I have to take a calculated death here. I promise there's only one more of these specific death achievements, okay? This chapter introduces...
The attraction is undeniable. After all, you came so promptly when I called.
Yeah, man, we already know you have a thing for white. As I was saying, this chapter introduces the gift system for green. After a bit of a walking sim, I now myself a gold coin, which I use later to get memories about green. Speaking of those memories, Red finally spills some info on Big Green. Like how he and White kinda led everyone to their deaths in a heist against an unsurprisingly named Blue, and, of course, the fact that White was Green's favorite of the group. There aren't really any more achievements to mention until chapter 10, so here's a quick plot synopsis for you. Red and White are met by Mikey, who gives a lord upon the believers. Basically, they're a bunch of snobs who started and somehow won a war against God because heaven wasn't nice enough for them. Their victory snagged them the Book of Death, and coincidentally, White and Red found a page of the Book of Life on their way to the end of the 8th chapter. The 9th has the gang visit a cool place, and oh yeah, Violet's being herself again. Awesome. During White's near-death experience, he has a little chat with God. Instead of telling him to kill his kids, God showed White the location of the Book of Life, that being the 3rd temple and also the setting for chapter 10. This chapter is pretty cool because it has 2 levels. One has literally nothing in it other than weapons to get to the end, and the other is the second Green fight. He's here for the Book of Life, and just like our last encounter, he kills a member of the group. But I'm a little bit more okay with this one. I also need to get a win against Green here before his last phase, which I do with my first full attempt actually. After I beat him down, White breaks Green's halo, and now Green's free from being controlled by the believers entirely. He takes the Book of Life from White, but Violet's barely alive self manages to sneak up on the guys and blow herself up along with the book. Green escapes and manages to steal the Book of Death because, of course he does. I also managed to finish every side quest for Yellow and Violet this chapter. Forgot to mention that sooner. I get a cool keychain and an achievement for getting every Heavenly Delight ticket, but more importantly, the Book of Life's pages are a little tough to destroy, so the entire goal of the second to last chapter is to get the book fully restored. This chapter is really fun for a couple of reasons. For one, there is no longer a need to kill every demon in a level to clear it, and two, I finally have access to the last soul card, a page from the Book of Life, and it does this.
Like level 20 or something.
Yeah.
Which means you like have to play like casual games, and if you're not winning, you're not earning. Like, so if you want to play on like
Finally.
I can get the last specific death achievement with this card, and I can collect the final gifts for another. Aside from that, I've just got some fun levels to play with here. At the end, Mikey's here for another lord dump. Turns out, God's got his left hand locked outside of heaven, and Green wants it so he can get what's inside. God's really cool pen, or the Inkhorn, because it can fully use the power of the Book of Life and the Book of Death. Chapter 12 is the final chapter of the game, so of course it has a lot of achievements. I finished my relationships with Red, Yellow, Violet, Mikey, Raz, and Green entirely, and with these, I get the last of White's memories. I'll also have every ace medal in the game after I finish this chapter out. The first level has White and Red confront Green about his plans to blow up a hole in the bottom of heaven with a bunch of neon masks so God's left hand can come in. By the way, neon masks are made of dead angels because the believers are just really not great people. Green explains that the masks blow up when they are removed, and he needs someone to sacrifice themselves to blow open the hole at the bottom of heaven. Red is incredibly insistent on her being the one to do so, which leads to the first level just being a chase for Red that results in her sacrificing herself anyway. It's just White and Green now. Oh man, I love Fully Cooley. You just gotta win this last Green fight. Where the achievements come in are the 2 different endings you have the choice of. After you beat Green at the hand of God, Mikey shows up in a bit more biblically accurate form, and you gotta decide if you want to write Green into the Book of Death or the Book of Life. You always have the option of Death, and that ending's kinda boring. You write him in, White's all proud of himself for getting revenge, and God's like, should I write White into the Book of Life? Nah, he didn't forgive Green. If you get every memory, however, like I did, you can write Green into the Book of Life. This ending's a little more heartwarming since Green finally calms down some and just talks a bit with White. God even writes White into the Book of Life here, so the whole gang is forgiven. As a final bonus, I get a really sweet memory of the whole group the night before the heist against Blue. I kinda wish Green had more scenes showing off his nicer side, but this final memory does a great job on its own. And it even does a great job of wrapping up the whole game, I think. Unfortunately for me, this isn't even the halfway point for my playtime. After clearing the main story to 100% completion and doing both endings, you will have access to every one of the level rushes. Yellow, Violet, Red, White, and Mikey all have rushes dedicated to them, and each of these rushes have a Heaven and Hell variant. Heaven is basically just play until you win, no punishment or anything, die as much as you want, doesn't matter. Hell, on the other hand, forces you to restart the entire rush if you die, your health does not regenerate between levels, and you can't restart an individual level like normal. Your only saving grace is the katana gaining an ability that fills your HP and gives you a soul card of your choosing. You only get 3 uses of the ability for an entire run. This limit isn't bad for Yellow, Violet, and Red's rushes at all, you just need to complete their side quests in one go. The worst time you're ever going to have with this is maybe Violet's, but even then you're just going to make a dumb mistake once or twice, it's no big deal. But White's rush is a little different. The first 3 I mentioned involve maybe 7 levels each, or at least somewhere around there. Like I said, nothing bad. White's Rush forces the player to finish the entirety of the main campaign's collection of levels. All 96 of them. Want to know how many gigabytes of footage the completion of the main game was? 188. If you want to add every other rush in the game before White's Hell Rush, you can bump that up to roughly 290. Now, if you'll let me check my folder of failed White Hell Rush attempts... Oh, awesome! That's 368 gigabytes of footage for this one achievement. I'm not going to talk about the rush itself, because what would you want me to say? I died here. I also died here. I died here too. Like, seriously, I don't want to talk about this rush forever, so I'll play Sun Tzu and give you some advice. Don't play on tilt, and just lock in. This is literally the only advice I can give. I don't hate this achievement. In fact, I enjoy it in retrospect. It forced me to get decent at the game, and the improvement I experienced over the time I grinded the rush out was really satisfying to see and feel. It even held up in Mikey's Hell Rush because I cleared that on my second try, snagging my 63rd and last achievement. Mikey's Hell Rush is literally just Whites, but every soul card is replaced by Dominion because the devs love fun. Neon White's a pretty cool game, I think. Even with the mild frustration I felt with White's Hell Rush in the last stretch of the completion time, I really can't say I'm glad I experienced the story this game had to offer. And I definitely will have fun learning the speedrun for a majority of the levels. It wasn't a masterpiece or anything, but it was pleasant. Topped with a good helping of tight, fun, and fast gameplay, you've got yourself a really solid game that I could recommend to basically anyone. Some of the dialogue can be a little cringe at times, but I think it's kind of charming and fun. If you've got a problem with that, I don't know, don't play the game I guess. I'm not the boss of your wallet. Like and subscribe and complain in the comments if you want. I'll see you in the next video.